Okay, we're ready.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Probably wasn't supposed to do that out loud necessarily, but here we are. This is a public meeting of the Indiana Arts Commission. Today, we're reviewing Lifelong Arts Indiana 2021 fellowship proposals. I am Lauren Curry, a program assistant with the Indiana Arts Commission, living in Indianapolis. Today is Tuesday, December 21st, 2021, and it is 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The panelists are meeting on Zoom and the public is observing on YouTube. At this time, we would like the panelists and staff to introduce themselves, stating their name, occupation, and where they are currently located, starting with Ms. Tierra.
Hello, my name is Garrett. Oh, we're getting some feedback there. Sorry about that. I am an artist and I'm a museum educator at the Carnegie Center for Art and History. And it might have slipped my mind if there was anything else I was supposed to say.
Just where you're located.
I am located in Louisville, Kentucky, but I work in New Albany, Indiana.
Next up is Nathan.
Hi, my name is Nathan Dillon. I live in Bloomington, Indiana. I'm the founder and director of Everybody Rocks. We bring music programming and classes and performances to people of all ages in Southern Indiana. And I love going to New Albany. So there you go.
And thank you so much. Next up is Casey.
Hello, I am Casey Mash. I work at Marquette Retirement Community in Indianapolis. I live in Zionsville. I'm also on a cultural district here.
Thank you so much. And Anna.
Good afternoon. I'm Anna Ross, Executive Director of Audiences Unlimited, and I also play viola with the Fort Wayne Philharmonic, and I am based in Fort Wayne.
Thank you to our panelists and staff. Stephanie.
Hello, I am Stephanie Haynes, Arts Education and Accessibility Program Manager and the Lifelong Arts Indiana Program Manager here in Indianapolis today.
And finally, Ms. Chapin.
Chapin Schnick, the Grants Research and Technology Manager, and I am also right here at the Indianapolis State Campus.
Thank you to everybody. This panel is designed to gather feedback that will help the applicants strengthen their creative aging residency project. The discussion will also help IAC staff identify any important modifications applicants may be required to make to their fellowship project before moving forward. I will announce the application we will review. I'll ask the first reader to begin the discussion. The first reader will provide advice to strengthen the fellowship project, focusing on the evaluation criteria from their perspective. Panelists, please note that the applications do not need to be recapped since everyone has read it. Just provide your comments. After the first reader has finished, I will open the discussion for any additional comments from the other panelists. Remember, in the interest of time, we are only looking for new, additional, or differing viewpoints. If a panelist has a conflict of interest, that panelist will be placed in the virtual waiting room while the application is discussed. Finally, once the application has been discussed by the full panel, we will ask the panel to update their comments in the online system. It is common for recommendations to change as a result of this broader discussion. These changes save automatically. Anyone have any questions whatsoever? And actually, I can't even, there we go. Now I can actually see if anyone has any questions. Okay, beautiful. Then let's begin with the first application, which is Lifelong Arts 2021, Ardery. And the first reader is Anna Ross.
Thank you, Lauren. So for this application, the strengths of the application, I felt the arts learning goals were very detailed and clear. And most of the session's social engagement activities really connected to the intended activity and outcome for that session. I thought that was really great. There's a strong buy-in from the partner. For instance, having a scribe will be offered if needed for a participant due to maybe they can't personally write with some health issues. And the artist is willing and very able to adapt the curriculum depending on the participant needs. Maybe some options with memory issues, since this focus is focused on memory. The program plan was feasible. It was very realistic and detailed. There are clear progressions within each session, and the timeline is appropriate, but within each session, some of the things I wasn't aware of just from my background, such as read back lines. So I kind of had to research what that meant, and that would have been helpful for a little bit more information what that meant. The expense budget was written as $775. However, the artist only is requesting $750 in the budget in the request. So there was a disconnect there. And I believe that this artist may be putting more time into the planning for the weekly sessions, especially if adaptations are going to be needed for specific participants. And this maybe should have been addressed in the budget with more time for adaptations and for the instructor or artist. So for the future, I would also recommend that the artist increase the rate for their work, the hourly rate. For the learning and community engagement, the artist is willing to adapt, as I mentioned. After I researched it, the readback lines will really help the participants make the connections, the social connections with each other and offer feedback, which I thought was great. And the partner and participation of the partner in the programming is strong, and the willingness of both of them to serve older adults and adapt as needed is great. I think this will be valuable for the participants. And for future growth, I think this is a pilot program for this artist. And I expect this experience will give the artist some opportunities for ideas for future programming with this partner or with other programs. And that's my main review.
Thank you so much, Anna. We'll open the discussion to the whole panel. Any new, additional, or differing comments from anyone?
So I had an additional comment. I thought that the idea of suggesting that participants in this program mail poetry to one another afterwards was fantastic. And I just wanted to say that it might be good to, during one of the last classes, provide a mailing list, like gather that information from anyone that would want to participate, and then actually hand out that mailing list to people so that that's already there for them, so that that ease is there when they're going to continue their practice.
Excellent. Thank you both. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Nathan. I just wanted to throw out there that I agree that the mailing thing was great. I've done some mailing stuff with some nursing homes, and it's been so wonderful. And to see that grow, I also wanted to just reiterate that I think that the Ardery should ask for more money for the program and be ready to be paid well for what this program is doing. So yeah.
And Casey here, I agree really with what everyone has said. The only addition I would like to see is a little bit more participation. For example, in a couple of the first classes, their Ardery is talking about the 5 senses, and I'd really like to see them use the 5 senses in order to create their poetry. You know, maybe tasting sugar, or smelling flowers, doing things like that to kind of really get them in the sense of what they're going to be writing about. In the second class, if we're going to talk about nature, well, then let's go outside and let's be in the nature, would be some recommendations I have.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, so much. Take a moment to finalize any of your comments in the online system. And while you're doing that, just go ahead and pull up Janet Chilton's application. and we'll have Tiara reviewing that, but I'll give you a little bit to navigate. And if we can have, I guess, a thumbs up once everybody has gotten their screen where they want it to be. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, okay, excellent. Take it away.
All right, so I want to start with saying that I really enjoyed the idea for this project, for the programming. I thought that it was an absolute, oh my goodness, cannot speak right now. I thought that it was a wonderful, this idea to have a class based off of color. I think that the barrier to entry, getting people into art through color is so low that it's perfect, and it's also perfect for anyone of any skill level. So I really liked the base idea for this project. And I thought that the project also seemed very well planned out and feasible. And honestly, for this application, I only had one recommendation, and that would be a list of resources so that people could continue their education after the class. Potentially a list of materials that are available to them in the facility, since they do have art facilities here that people get to use. Also a suggestion of like possible sketchbook materials, really whatever you feel would make sense to give your class as a resource after spending time with them, just so that they can continue to build on these skills in their own time going forward in the future.
That's excellent. Anyone have any new, additional, or differing comments?
I was concerned about the budget. It just didn't seem to add up to me. On the artist fee, $50, 6 classes. They stipulated that it was $600 when in actuality it adds up to $350. So I think there was just some mathematical errors there. Overall, I absolutely agree with Tiara. I thought it was a really nice program.
Anna, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I think, aren't the classes, I think maybe she meant $50 an hour, which would have made, because they're 90-minute classes, right? So I think that's what the budget was. So $50 an hour, and that's how that she got to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so the suggestion I have is, I would suggest having photographs taken of the participants during this project and potentially being shared on the partners' social media pages for families to see them in action in participating in this activity. It'll be really kind of exciting for the families to kind of follow the journey. And then just for the grant purposes and writing, and if she's talking to her participants, I would strongly suggest, in my personal opinion, to use the word participants rather than students. Because I believe we're wanting everybody to feel that they're equals, and the instructor is part of this journey with them. So, so I would say participants, especially in advertising rather than students. Oh, one more thing, sorry. Art studios could have been included as in-kind studio space in the budget. Thanks.
Ethan, I saw your hand.
Yes, I would just wanted to say that I was really impressed with how much time and thought had been put into creating something that everybody could do, regardless of how much motor skills they might have or how much seeing problems they might have. I just thought that it was well thought out and something that can be grown outside of Westminster as just almost immediately, really, because it's such a strong, well thought out approach. So I was really impressed with that. I just want to say that.
Yes, Casey.
To kind of piggyback on what Nathan said, it was well thought out, but it was incredibly well planned along with Westminster. I mean, there were modifications made based upon their suggestions, and I thought that was excellent.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right. Well, unless anyone has anything additional, finalize your comments. And of course, let me know if you need any more time. Great. We'll move on to Lynn Darda. And the first reader for that application will be Nathan. And just let me know if anybody needs any more time. But otherwise, we'll just, in the interest of speeding it up, Nathan, you can take it away.
Sounds good. Yes, I'm going to be talking about the Let's Go. It's a great name. Let's Go Adventures in Watercolor by Lynn Darda. I thought the program was well thought out. When I had started reading these, I haven't been on a panel before. When I started reading these, I had wondered, just in my own experience, about the time limit, or the time being 90 minutes or longer. A couple of these are longer, and that people can get tired after a little while. But as I read through the plan, I ended up thinking that 90 minutes was perfect. And I also appreciated that that Darda had thought about going virtual if that needed to happen. Let me just reading through my notes here. I like the idea of talking to people about their histories with art, and using that as a way to build better classes. I'm really big on talking to people and participants, and using that to tailor the kind of classes that are brought to folks. I was really impressed with the working relationship that had been developed with the library, and I thought that was well thought out, and it's good to see that Darda's communicating with everybody, and it looks like the Pulaski Library is a really good fit, and I'm excited to see that program grow if that's what ends up happening.
Thank you so much. It's excellent having panelists that recognize the value of strong relationship building. Anybody else have anything new, additional, differing?
I had one suggestion. I would tell the applicant to possibly relook at their promotion costs. And from the perspective of reading the grant, I would love to have a little bit more of an explanation of the promotion costs, because for me, it seems a little on the lower end. But I think, letting us know through the application, a little bit more information might be able to pad that to make it make a little bit more sense for us, because we'll have all of the information. Or if you go back into it, maybe you'll look at it and think there's some change that might need to be made there. But either way, I think that it's great that you have in there cost for promotion, both for the sign, for the work, and an ad promoting it. Yeah.
The one thing I can say about the promotion, it did kind of confuse me. And I wonder if the amount is lower, Tiara, because also in the application or in the grant, it states that the library was going to be managing the promotion. So there was a little bit of which part is the library doing and which part is the applicant doing, but that's something that I'm sure that the applicant can get nailed down.
Yeah, that actually raised a question I had overall that I ended up, I thought about overall for all of these, which is it would be nice to have a section that addressed whether the applicant is in charge of bringing outside groups or outside people into facilities, or people look like, in other words, is the facility looking to grow its participant base through these classes? Do they have a set group of people that they're already dealing with? How much, and that also ties back into promotion. Like, is this person going out and knocking on doors and trying to connect groups, or is the group already kind of built into wherever, whatever the place is that's being held?
Thank you for that. And to the other panelists, the IAC is also looking for feedback, not only on the applications themselves, but on the application process. So if you have more broad questions like that, please do bring them up.
We will debrief at the end for anyone who has general feedback. For now, let's focus on the applications.
Okay, yes. Yep. Moving on, if everybody is good, we'll move on to number 4, Kenya Ferrand-Ott. And the first reader for that will be Casey. And Casey, whenever your screen is where you want it to be, you can take it away.
Okay, this one perplexed me. I felt that it was a little heavy on the homework aspect of everything. And in working with seniors or anyone over the age of 60, really, doing so much at home, that concerned me, and that we weren't doing it in the actual sessions. It looked like there was a lot that was going to be going on, but also, are these materials supposed to be going home back and forth? That was kind of a concern. I would recommend a glossary for this particular applicant. I think there's a lot of words and things that I don't even understand, and I would kind of start with that, and let's get to the simplicities of, here's what we're going to do and here's what it's all about. And then if we are going to do some YouTube videos, I would suggest some written instruction on how to do that. I know during COVID, a lot of people had to do that, but a lot of people still were unable to do so. So I wouldn't want to rely so heavily upon that. And then, there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot that happens in each class. I'm not sure that there should be more classes maybe, or a little bit less in each session. And really, I think there was just a lot going on, and probably the fact that they're actually paying to participate in this. I just want to make sure that they're absolutely getting all the bang that they can for their buck.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any new, additional, or differing comments?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
No, please.
Okay. I agree. It's very full curriculum, and I'm not seeing where the participants start to work on their final piece of art and have time to create it in this scenario of the curriculum. And it's not clear how they'll choose what they'll be working on. So perhaps the artist could select the basic specific techniques the participants would learn and allow them time in class to work on their artwork. So less full is what Casey is saying. And I'd like to just see a clear focus at the end result for the participants' artwork.
Yeah, kind of tying back into what we were talking about a minute ago, I was wondering how the artist was going to connect different communities, different groups, to even know about the program happening, and who that would be. I was curious to know how it was getting off the ground and all that kind of thing. So how to build the population of the class.
So for this application, going off of what Casey was saying, there is a really strong desire to get the 55 and better crowd using the internet as a resource. And I think that that's great, especially because for a lot of art stuff, like going on YouTube, you have tons of free resources. So I would just suggest that like Casey was saying, they really take the time to explain how people can go about doing that, if that's something that they want participants to take away from this. I also, going off what Nathan was saying, I had some suggestions for promoting the class or promoting the program itself. Promotion could be done through flyers and other outreach methods. And if the space itself has like a newsletter, then you could inquire about promoting the class through that. Just keep that in mind, how you're going to reach out to people to participate. And then the one other thing I had as far as feasibility, for me, the $30 per person for materials seemed pretty low. I know with watercolor, there's a very wide range in cost, but there's also a very wide range in what those materials will give you based off of cost. And I know that participants would be paying to be a part of this experience, but I think that, you know, maybe if you can find a way to keep the cost that they'll pay to participate the same, but increase what you spend on supplies, just so you're getting, you know, supplies that are adequate enough to make the work that they would be making. Yeah.
Excellent points. Unless anyone has any final comments, we can move on to application number 5. That will be Melissa Gallant. And the first reader there is Miss Anna. And whenever you have your screen where it needs to be, you can take it away.
Great. Thank you, Lauren. I felt that this was very feasible. It's very detailed, sequential, and clear, and the social engagement elements were integrated throughout very thoughtfully. The partnership is strong and with buy-in from the partner, with knowledge of potential participants, and the use of the space, music stands, volunteers, promotion, documentation assistance. There's a lot of support coming from their partner, which is really, really great. I felt that it was very feasible and very doable. The artist really was very thoughtful in designing this with older adults in mind, but also with the intended participants through their partner. So the integration of diverse multicultural harpists and music is really excellent in this proposal. And there are clear sequential learning goals. And it's just the collaborative partner has such a good established relationship with its older adult community that I think this is really going to be a good program. So I think they're going to have more interest than just the 10 available slots and maybe have to do it again. So that's my review. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. I haven't read all of these, but I've read some of them, and I'm just so excited for these. Any other comments from anyone? New, additional, differing?
I thought it definitely showed that each session related to each other. There was a definite progression of sessions, which was nice to see. And really my only concern was the weight and the size of a harp. And if they're talking about possibly going remote, how in the world is that going to get into each person's home safely? And making sure that the participant is safe and not, getting knocked over or whatever. So that was my only other comment.
That's a great point, Casey. I know she's using a student model harp, which is a smaller harp. So
Okay.
It's not a big full-size harp. Those are,
Okay.
yeah. No, not that what you think of. It's a student size model, more like a lyre, a smaller,
Okay.
So it should be manageable. And I think she did mention that if it goes remote, that the class size would be cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks.
I wanted to just I really like this one a lot. I as a guy who teaches a lot of music to a lot of seniors, I just wanted to also, just because I have to say it, not because the person might not already be aware, but there's when you're teaching older folks to be plucking strings, whatever instrument that is, there can be a lot of finger issues, whether that's arthritic, whether that's somebody's gotten cold and their fingertips haven't warmed, which makes it incredibly painful to pluck strings. So just being aware basically of what the looks on people's faces really, and that's going to tell you whether something is painful. And also just I love the idea of bringing in people who are doing this, playing the harp as a career, as a job, virtually, but it would probably be good to test all of that equipment that you're going to be bringing people in on ahead of time, just to make sure, especially because it's music. So as soon as you have glitchy stuff happening where you're trying to hear something musical, can kind of kill the mood. So, yeah. But I was really excited about this one. Yeah.
All right. Any final comments? Excellent. Beautiful. Okay. Finalize your comments in the online system. And the next application, number 6, will be Sandra Gay. And the first reader for that is Miss Tierra. And once you have your screen where you want it to be, you are free to take it away.
All right. So I want to start off saying I loved the variety in the program, and the overall attitude around this program, and the mantra for the group, all of this like very positive positivity that just like shines throughout the application. It is a very ambitious application, and I think that it can use just a little tightening up and condensing to really make this a strong application. So one thing that I did notice when I was looking at this application in terms of feasibility, I did have a little bit of confusion. The curriculum outlined had 5 classes listed, and then there was an additional 5 that were shown as in kind. And I know that there's only 6 sessions shown to be able to fill out and give information on. So it potentially could have come from that, where the additional 5 classes aren't included on here. But I think explaining that a little bit better would help from the person looking at the grants perspective, a little clarity on that. And then so in terms of the content for the sessions themselves, it seems like that there was a lot of different content going on and a lot of different learning possibilities. And I think maybe picking a smaller number of those things to focus on could help, just narrowing things down, making them a little bit simpler, or on the other side, giving a little bit more of an explanation for all of these different aspects and how they really tie together in that final performance.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna.
So I think I agree with that assessment. There is a lot there. Just knowing how this process worked, the curriculum was kind of due and for the coaching that they had early on before perhaps this whole, the final project was finalized. So what I saw was that the curriculum really focused on the cha-cha dance. It had one basic, thing. And I think the artist has adapted it according to the new partner and moved it beyond that curriculum that was due and, early on before the project was even constructed with the partner. So, and that's fine. It's just that I think that has been some movement to add a lot of other things. So, but I just wanted to point that out, that there was the curriculum wasn't connecting with this, and that's fine. That I think, right, Stephanie, isn't that, was that supposed to connect?
Yeah, it is supposed to connect, but it could be possible. What you're saying could be possible.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other new? Yes, Casey.
I was a little, it was an incredibly ambitious program, yes. And having done programs with seniors, I would recommend definitely some more structure. I felt that without that kind of structure, telling them what they're going to do, or at least offering this or that, it could just be like a willy-nilly kind of an event and everybody would be going in their own direction, which really leads me to another thing. I don't get a sense of how many people are involved in this, how many participants would be allowed. So if it's 200 people, heavens to Betsy. If it's 5 people, it's probably way more manageable. I also would have liked to seen a little more budget detail. It's $150 per session for the artist fee, but what exactly is that including? So that really would be my recommendation for this one.
Excellent. Any other final comments? Yes, Nathan.
I was going to say, this is, I said this earlier on a different, talking about a different class, but in terms of the length of classes, when seniors are doing 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, especially when you're involved with physical stuff, if people are moving around, getting up, doing different kinds of things, trying new things, it's good to take a break, but it's also sometimes good to have some sort of food there to have a little in the middle of. I know with COVID and everything, that's not necessarily something that we could pull off necessarily, but if there was some way to have something, a break in the middle where somebody can have a bite if they need it or get a drink if they need it, and just be aware of how the physical side of a class can wear people down. Again, it's really just about watching what people are doing and how they're responding. But yeah.
That's good. It's important to remember this is a specific population that these are geared towards. So thank you. Okay. Please finalize your comments again in the online system. And as you're doing that, if you will please pull up application number 7, Devon Ginn. And the first reader for that will be Nathan. And Nathan, once you have your screen all set to where you'd like it, feel free to take it away.
Sorry, Chapin, are you, there you go, thank you. Never mind.
Yeah, sorry, since I hadn't updated or shared it since the beginning, I was just sharing for the YouTube.
Oh, thank you.
I totally thought I did something just then. I was like, what am I doing? Okay. Is it Devon Ginn? Is that how you pronounce? I
think it's Ginn.
Ginn? Okay, Devon Ginn. Well, I want to say that I'm so glad that I got this one. This was my favorite one. Whenever I see people combining multiple disciplines into one thing that feels easy and interesting and new, I get really excited. So, Devon Ginn, if you're listening, kudos to you. I think this is the most exciting application that I read. And what I like about it is that Ginn has seen mindfulness, meditation, and sound and the healing aspects of that, and bringing it into a writing, journaling situation. I I'm a process guy. I love when we've got interesting processes that bring us to new creations, and this is exactly the kind of thing that my antennas go up. So really cool. I also like that Ginn cited scientific sources. So again, he's crossing disciplines right and left. That's aces. That is exactly right. It's wonderful. My suggestion was process driven. I was wondering about changing the prompt. I know he's got a writing prompt. That's the prompt is given after meditation happens, and I wondered about switching that up sometimes. So sometimes the prompt happens before meditation, sometimes it happens after. And just as a person who spends a lot of time writing, the fact that this is that he's using this as a way of healing, but also as a way of exploration, and using writing as a form of meditation almost is just right on. So I love this, and as soon as he's got a group of people who are excited to be doing this and exploring this, I can see it evolving into who knows what. I just was super excited about this. I'm so glad that I got to talk about this one. So yes, very cool.
Thank you. Any other comments? New, differing? Yes, Casey.
I absolutely agree. I think it's cool. I love the simplicity of this program, the fact that there's really no other responsibility for the participant outside of class. It's pretty much show up, meditate, relax, talk about yourself, think about yourself, and it's just perfect. I do want to just make one recommendation or advisement to the applicant to just please remember that if they get on the floor, they might not get back up. So we want to be cautious, make sure there's plenty of chairs and that they can do chair meditation, as well as offering all of the yoga mats and whatnot. So.
Excellent, very practical. Any other? Yes, Tiara.
So again, love the application. The idea for the class, I think, is phenomenal. We can all use a little meditation and journaling in our lives. I did have the suggestion of, since, meditating, journaling, all this can be pretty emotionally heavy, especially coming from it from a mental health and healing perspective, that maybe, start off with some lighter things in the beginning of the classes, and especially the first class, really get the group to be able to get to know one another, so that, you just have a positive, like, communal environment to kind of be the foundation for the rest of the classes. And then I also had a suggestion for towards the end of the classes to really promote this and, promote the continuation of journaling and meditation for the individuals that will be participating, possibly giving them, just like a sheet that you print out that has some journaling or meditation prompts on it, so that, once the program has ended, they have something to, jump off of and continue this practice amongst themselves.
Excellent. Any other comments? Okay. Oh, Anna.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute. This is just a grant thing. Again, this is another one that I would suggest using the word participant rather than student, as they're all equal partners in this journey. And I think they only used it in part of it, but I wanted to just bring that up for the future.
Okay, thank you again. Finalize your comments in the online system if you need to make any changes. And as you're doing that, we will come to application number 8, Portia Jackson. And the first reader for that is Casey. And once you have your screen where you'd like it to be, feel free to take it away.
Well, I have to say, I'm kind of like Nathan on the last one. I was super excited to receive this one. This one really piqued my interest. I mean, who doesn't like food? So, and especially since we've had, the time of COVID, what I really like is that we're building upon that. So many people were at home, so many people had to cook, and even my working at a retirement community, I heard about it every day. So I like the fact that it was turned into bettering themselves. So exploring this further is going to be great. On the feasibility of this one, it seemed that the videographer fee, it might really only be 150, not 1,500 that's stated. So I just hope that there be some clarification on that. And the in-kind was actually mathematically 333, not 325. Again, not a big deal, but I just want to make sure that I pointed those out. And the Baptist Church is named as a partnering organization, but then all of a sudden Oasis Baptist Church members were mentioned. And so I just wasn't sure how they were being pulled in, or if they're part of, or if they're like a sister church. So I just was hoping for some clarification on that, but I love the concept of comfort and joy. I would like to encourage more food representation in each session by chance. I'm not sure how, but I encourage the applicant to do so. Instead of only presenting it at the end, I think it would maybe help the participants along the way. And then I'd like to know how they're going to be working together. It seems like it's a group of 12. Are they all in 90 minutes going to be talking to each other, or are we going to break into groups? I'm just not sure how it's all going to get done within the 90 minutes if they're not broken into smaller groups. Let's see. It's the, right, yeah, so that's part of the social engagement aspect, is just finding out the large group activity, or will there be small group activity as well? And session 4 allows the participants to critique each other. And I just want to let the applicant exercise a little bit of caution. Typically at that point in life, you don't really want to be critiqued and you don't really want to critique others. So we just want to be cautious about that and make sure that we're inclusive to all of the participants. Hey, everybody again loves food, and this is my personal food that I want to share. So I really wouldn't want to be critiqued on that. And again, the using of the food is really compelling. So I really would like to see the participants just get completely immersed into the whole thing. I'm not quite sure how it all, if it's all separate, it all kind of like blends together a little bit, but I'm sure it'll all get worked out. That's about all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anna.
Okay, thanks. I felt for the budget, I understand the videographer fees are really large. I think it's important to have a video for this. But, compared to what the artist is actually getting for this project and the amount of work she's going to put into it, I felt like perhaps there could be someone from the church or a high school student, a university student to do it at a lesser rate for the videotaping. As far as the curriculum sessions, I was, and the learning outcomes, I felt like the learning outcomes were more processed than arts learning goals. And so the processes, that she listed in the learning goals would be part of the curriculum sessions. So artistic learning goal is storytelling, right? So I would have liked to see more description of the basic structural elements of storytelling that the participants would learn in the class before getting to the shape and the structure of the story. And so just a suggestion, maybe perhaps combine the curriculum 1 and 2 sessions together. And then it was unclear who the professional storyteller was. Is that the artist? So those are my main comments. But I love the proposal. I just I want to see those goals. Thanks.
I was worried. I was worried about the budget. I was worried that the cost for food, and this is tied, I guess, tied back into how the actual classes will happen, but I'm afraid that the budget for food ingredients, excuse me, will run out, and then that puts the person in an awkward position of either spending money that they were supposed to be being paid to buy more ingredients, or asking participants to buy things, and that is just awkward and strange, and could lead to the class not being as successful. You could probably raise money from grocery stores participating and donating, but that involves talking to people. But it's a big, for me, seeing this, that was a big concern. Like, you could see it running into class 4. The money's gone. How am I going to address this with participants and all that? So something to really get on now and find money for to kind of as an in-kind thing, to just make sure that there's no point where you're asking participants to spend money that they didn't expect to be spending.
So can I ask Nathan on that? Were you reading it that there was going to be food at each session that was part of the curriculum currently? Because I didn't read it that way. I read
maybe I was wrong. Maybe that's not what it's supposed to be.
No, I think it's just the culminating event.
Oh,
Right.
I thought people were using dishes to tell stories. I must have misread.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, they're telling the stories based upon their favorite dish that they will make at the end.
Oh, I see. My bad.
This is why the panel exists. So, excellent. Any other comments, critiques? Yes, Tiara.
So one thing I was a little bit unclear about was the recipes themselves. I know that the participants would be, from what I understand, providing the recipes, but I wasn't sure if it seems as if they're going to give out recipe cards to the audience that comes at the ultimate event at the end. And if that is the case, then I think maybe in one of the first sessions going over how to write out a recipe so that they are in a similar structure, so that when you get to the end and the recipes are given out, that they're all kind of readable in the same kind of way, that might be of some help. And then also from community engagement perspective, I think taking, one of the first classes and maybe doing like a creative writing icebreaker, or an icebreaker that has to do with recipes or food, something like that, just to introduce the group to one another, get them talking, get them comfortable with being around each other.
Excellent. All right. Okay, please finalize your comments in the online system. And as you are doing that, if you will also turn your attention to application number 9, Debra Levy. And the first reader for that is going to be Miss Anna. And whenever you are ready, we are ready for it.
Great, thank you. I felt that this project had very defined and clear, detailed, sequential, and systematic goals and curriculum in it. There's a variety of social engagement elements that are integrated in each session, and some even revolve around their own stories. So they're getting to know each other really well in this class. So there's opportunities for connections there. The partnership is really strong with buy-in from the partner and a commitment to continue in the future even, which is wonderful. And there was good planning for a virtual transition if needed. The ongoing vlog after the class is over is a really nice way to keep those people connected and that are participants. I believe that for the budget, the artist included 2 fees: the design and implementation of the program and the instructor fees and labor. So I would have assumed that the implementation of the program is being the instructor. So I feel that this is unclear. There's a lot there. Now, that being said, the artist is going to maintain a blog afterwards, so there will be additional time for that. So I'm just a little uncertain on the budget areas as far as what the artistic fees really entail. This is another one that I would suggest for moving away from using the term students and embrace the word participants. While the artist is indeed the instructor, I encourage the feeling of a partnership or a learning journey with the artist and participants. And she used the words a collective of writers. Well, she's one of the collective of writers in that group. So that's why I think it should be participants instead of students. And I think that there's a lot of opportunities for expansion of this program in the community, perhaps even an outdoor with the Parks and Rec in the summer of continuing this program, and maybe some coffee houses and things like that this program could be duplicated.
Thank you. Excellent. Any other new, additional, differing comments?
I absolutely agree with Anna on the budget. That was one of my big things I wanted to point out. Then on the other hand, I also want to congratulate this applicant for actually addressing transportation and weather and the timing of the entire program based upon the participants' age and all of that. So that was really excellent. It was addressed. I also liked the fact that, the classes all move along with the goal in mind, and I thought that it seemed like an appropriate amount of classes. It was very well thought out.
Excellent. Yes, Nathan.
Yeah, I just from a process perspective, and as someone who's spent a lot of time teaching writing, mostly songwriting, but still writing, I like the idea of doing things quickly because it keeps people from bringing their baggage to how they feel about writing and its magical kind of qualities. Writing is just like anything else. It's a craft, and you just spend time at it and you get better at it. So the fact that it's designed around something that happens quickly is exciting. I think that's a really exciting idea, and it can be an exciting tool within a class to be used that way. And I would say also that there is opportunity there to grow into other things. I hate to say TikTok, but you could probably make TikTok videos out of some of this stuff as a way of promotion if you start having stories get to that kind of brevity. But the fact that that even occurred to me while reading this proposal, it would be a way of all of a sudden you're jumping through several generations of people, instantly with what you're creating, and that's exciting. So, good stuff.
That's excellent suggestion. Anyone else? Comments, questions, concerns? Okay, beautiful. Finalize your comments if you need to change anything that you had noted. And as you're doing that, we'll move on to Wacey Robertson, application number 10. And the first reader for that will be Ms. Tiara. And whenever you are ready, we are ready for it.
Sorry, I didn't realize that I would be reading for this one. So let me start off. I thought that this application was a wonderful attention to detail on possible accessibility needs of older adults. And in terms of feasibility, I was a little bit confused, and if another panelist has more clarity on this than me, then please let me know. I couldn't tell if the final event was going to be at Westminster Village or if it was going to be happening at another location. So I wasn't sure on that front from looking at the application. So that was the only thing that left me a little confused in terms of feasibility. And then the plans for community engagement I thought were wonderful. And I would just keep in mind asking questions that connects the group with music and their lives while you're going through the games and in the process of the social engagement.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Good on the fly. Very good. Would not have known. Any other questions, comments, critiques?
I have a lot of thoughts because this is a music class and it's a strings class and I've been teaching uke to people for a long time. So I would like to share a couple of ideas, but I also just want to say, just because this is how I do things doesn't mean anybody else should do things this way. But in reading the proposal, I was very excited about it. I liked everything that was happening. It felt exciting. The ukulele is an instrument that is impossible to play and feel bad. It's just too happy of a sound. When I'm teaching these classes, again, it's from a personal perspective, and it can be taken for whatever that's worth. But when I'm teaching a strings class to older folks, I generally will give out one chord, right? So people are playing one thing, and then we start playing songs. And I cover the rest of the sound if there are more than one chord to be played. So that people are playing music immediately, pretty much, and that there is no wait, and that there is no time to start to second guess, what am I doing here? My music teacher told me to stick to drums, and here I am trying to play it. You know, all the stuff that starts cycling through a person's head when they have a moment when they're about to try something new. So adding more songs into the actual classes curriculum so that you're playing songs on one on top of each other and there's not so much time to get discouraged. Everybody's going to be making enough noise to cover mistakes. And so giving people the responsibility of one chord at a time to learn, maybe even just one chord per class. And then you're going to also encounter people who, again, have trouble moving hands, and even a chord like as foundational as a G chord on a uke can become impossible to do. And so incorporating one single string melodies, so you're playing so you still have people that can do something even if they're not able to get their hands into smaller tight spaces like that. So that's just how I do things, and you might not have any use for that information. But I do find it very helpful to keep things rolling musically, so that people are playing, because people will be happy to talk about playing instead of actually playing. So, yeah.
Thank you. The panel with the difference, enrichment. Yes, Anna.
Yeah, that's great. That was great. Thanks, Nathan. So I also, with the arthritis question, I'm not sure about finger picking. I was a little just, wanting to make sure that there's an alternative or an adaptation for those who maybe can't do that as well. But also, if it was, as far as going to remote teaching, if you have to move to remote, my questions for the artists would be, would you offer smaller group sessions or individual sessions to help coach each person online in virtual environment? Or if they are in the facility and you're coming in, virtually, perhaps an activity director or somebody at the facility can be prepared in advance to help assist them with the coaching in the room. So you might teach them beforehand or something. Just an idea for how to adapt this, since we're, moving in kind of a weird direction right now with health. So those are my thoughts. Thanks.
Casey, yes.
I have to commend this applicant for saying this group is 55 and better. I love that.
Yes.
Also,
Yeah,
I
that's
also
exactly.
agree. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with Nathan and Anna that the dexterity is something to think about. It does seem like a very, very fun program. I would just be a little concerned about the length of classes. It seemed like I think the length of each class is fine, but I think the fact that there's 8 classes, I want to make sure that there's something to keep them coming back, because they just lose interest sometimes. So we just want to keep it exciting.
Excellent. Any final comments? Beautiful. Okay. Please finalize any notes, change anything you need to change in the online system. And as you're doing that, if you will pull up application number 11, Miss Peggy Taylor. And the first reader for that application is Nathan. And whenever you are ready for us, we are ready for you.
All right. Well, I'm really glad that I got this one. I seem to be getting the ones that I really wanted to talk about. I liked this was different than the other classes in terms of that it was involved weaving and textile arts, which is just the only application to do that in this group. I thought that was really exciting. I was really excited to learn about the Working Man's Institute. I've never heard of that before, so I have to go learn about that. That sounds really interesting. It's a great name. And I know New Harmony has a lot of interesting history anyway. The thing that was the strength of this, and is something that we touched on in some other things in other proposals, but especially with this proposal, was it seems like Ms. Taylor has spent a lot of time listening to prospective participants, to fellow artists, and to the organizations that she's dealing with. And even within the classes themselves, she's built in time to be listening to what participants have to say. And I think that is the key to all of this, is communicating and especially listening. That's how we build community. That's how we build good classes. That's how we sustain things. And that's how we connect people to each other, is by listening. So kudos to Ms. Taylor for clearly showing that not only is she doing that in preparing for these classes, but also within the classes themselves. So really great. On that, I worry about feasibility when it comes to lockdown, but then I worry about that with all of these classes. And again, the only question that I had besides that was regarding population and who she's bringing in, if she's required to or not, which is something that we had talked about before all of these. So really great, exciting to see what is made, but also excited to see someone so purposefully communicating and listening to everybody involved. That's how communities get built. So awesome.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, Tiara.
So in terms of feasibility for this application, it seemed feasible. The costs were well thought out with all of the different venues of taking care of costs for this application. The one thing that I did note was the $30 for promotion and printing. And it was noted that this was for flyers/posters to promote class in the exhibition. And I think that, after, all these classes and going through the program, you're really going to want as many people to see this exhibition as you can. So I think looking into some additional promoting would be a wise idea. I really like the idea of placing flyers in locations where prospective students would frequent. And I think that the idea in planning for promotion for getting, sorry, my apologies, for getting participants is fantastic, but I think that you have the possibility here to extend the promotion of the actual exhibition that will come at the end through social media, through community websites and newsletters, just reaching out to your partner and seeing what venues that they use to promote and using those resources as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Casey?
I don't know anything about weaving, so I was a little confused as to is each participant looming during each class, or are they sharing? And are there 9 looms or are there 4 looms? And how many people are participating? So I was kind of confused on that. I don't know if Nathan, if you can fill me in on that, or if
It seemed like she was borrowing 3 and had 3, and the space had 3, and then if there needed to be more, I remember she was there. If there needed to be more,
yeah, and then
then
at another point it talks about having 4. So
right.
I think I was just kind of confused. 4 or 9, and is everybody? So are we going to only have 9 participants? And they will be looming during class, or can one person loom and then it gets transferred to another person during that class? That part I don't understand.
Just for a little possible clarification on this, I do believe that each participant is intended to use their own loom. So 1 loom per participant. There's a section where it mentions that if they could potentially borrow some more looms, that they could accommodate up to 12 people to participate. So from my perspective, I was kind of reading it as there will be likely 9 looms and 9 participants.
Great, okay, super.
Beautiful. Thank you for that clarification. Anybody else have any comments, questions, critiques? Okay. This concludes the panel discussion for the 2021 Lifelong Arts Indiana Fellowship. Thank you to all our panelists, IAC staff, and thank you to the public for watching.